Hello, all my observant crow friends. We are headed to visit Fayetteville National Cemetery, first established here in the south side of town. One of the 14 original federal cemeteries authorized by Abraham Lincoln, June 10th, 1872. We're passing Meadow Street. Woo! Clock tower.
There's downtown square that way.
Yeah, that has
Feed and Foley. I want to go in there. That's cute.
I'll ask them if they want to go to a haunted restaurant.
Where's that at?
A Fayetteville group of women organized the Southern Memorial Association to secure a final resting place for those Confederate soldiers who lost their lives in the battles of Fayetteville, Prairie Grove, and Pea Ridge. Many unknown, all heroes, fighting for country and service. Fayetteville was first settled by George McGarrah and his sons in 1828 as Washington County, being carved out of Lovely County. The town first known as Washington Courthouse changed to Fayetteville, named after a city of the same name in Tennessee. During the Civil War, Fayetteville was occupied by both sides, with the action of Fayetteville in April 1863. Most of the town was destroyed by the battles and only maintained by the military until 1868. And here we have come to Fayetteville National Cemetery, way down here in Arkansas. And I wanted to come here and pay tribute to a medal honor of winner of World War II. And we're going to do a few honors and tributes to some fallen soldiers, unknown soldiers, and just the beauty of the place. Way down here in the South Mountain region of the Ozarks. We have come to Fayetteville National Cemetery to pay honor and tribute to FFC Clarence Barrel Craft, World War II Medal of Honor recipient. He received his medal from Harry S. Truman at the White House, October 12th, as a private first class, for his bravery in action on May 31st, 1945 in Okinawa, Japan. Clarence Barrel Craft's contribution to the campaign on Okinawa was much more far-reaching in consequence. For Hen Hill was the key to the entire defense line, which rapidly crumbled after his utterly fearless and heroic attack. There's Clarence B. Craft. Medal of Honor SFC, U.S. Army, World War II, Korea, September 23rd, 1921 to March 28th, 2002. And his wife, Tamay B. Craft, November 13th, 1924, June 16th, 2015. Forever in our hearts. Very beautiful and quiet cemetery here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Revolutionary War Soldier Memorial. (1775 to 1783). These veterans of the American Revolution came to live and die in Northwest Kansas in memory of those soldiers who fought for American independence during the Revolutionary War. Benton County, Washington County, Thomas, Relin, the chosen few, dedicated to the brave men who survived their entrapment at the Chosin Reservoir, North Korea, in that bitterly cold winter of 1950, who refused to leave behind their heroes, the dead and wounded, who proved again what all veterans know, that freedom is not free. This tree, dedicated by the Veterans Administration in 1976 to America's Medal of Honor recipients who helped make this bicentennial observance possible by gallantry above and beyond the call of duty. At the beginning of the Civil War, Fayetteville was a prosperous town. Then, on April 18, 1863, the fierce fight of Fayetteville began, with Confederate General Cabell led 900 cavalry north from Ozark to attack. The attack surprised most of the Union soldiers who were enjoying a dance at a private home, a few miles outside of town, while others slept. Yet they quickly recovered and with superior weapons pushed back the Confederate charge. The first burials were Union soldiers' remains, disinterred from the local battlefields of Pea Ridge, Prairie Grove, and Elkhorn Tavern, the greater portion of over 1,200 being of unknown soldiers. And here we have all the unknown soldiers. In honor of those who gave the ultimate sacrifice in service to the United States of America and the families they left behind, the sacrifice will not be forgotten. The address by President Lincoln, the dedication of the Gettysburg National Cemetery, November 19th, 1863. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are not met a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note, nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so notably advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we were highly resolved that these dead shall not die in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Benjamin F. Killen, Private U.S. Army, Indiana, 1839 to 1898. Corporal Calvin J. Lester, Missouri, June 15th, 1830, August 27th, 1913, and his wife, Nancy, 1847 to 1914. Battenfield, John, Gemma, (1839 to 1843), 1843 to 1917, and 1839 to 1914. Okay, we'll do a couple more. Cletus, Mars, Private First Class, Company B, 130th MG Battalion, 35th Division, Springfield, Missouri, killed in action September 30th, 1918, aged 21 years, 6 months, and 18 days. First Marine Division Association. Dedicated to those men of the 1st Marine Division, FMF, who gave their lives in the service of their country, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and Southwest Asia. Fayetteville National Cemetery, dedicated to the memory of all the patriotic men and women who answered their country's call to service. William Jefferson Clinton, President of the United States; Jesse Brown, Secretary of Veterans Affairs; Herschel W. Gober, Deputy Secretary of Veterans Affairs; Jerry W. Bowen, Director of the National Cemetery System. On July 7, 1856, a white mob from present-day Elkins, Arkansas, kidnapped and lynched Anthony, a black man, and Aaron, a black teenager. They were put on trial at the Washington County Courthouse in the death of a white man, James Boone, who enslaved them. Anthony was proven innocent. Aaron was released due to lack of evidence. Disregarding the rule of law, a mob led by Boone's sons reacted violently, lynching Anthony and Aaron near the jail, most likely on the estate of Archibald Yell. The deceased, whom an all-white jury found guilty, contested his verdict but was refused a retrial. Like lynchings, court-ordered executions with mob standing by did not require reliable findings of guilt. Randall was hanged by the state on August 1st, 1856, likely on Gallows Hill, which is now within the Fayetteville National Cemetery next to Oak Cemetery. During this era, when enslaved black people commonly faced violence by white enslavers, local oral history contends that on May 29, 1856, James Boone attempted to assault an enslaved black woman who fatally assaulted him in self-defense. The Boone family then implicated Aaron, Anthony, and Randall in Boone's death. Slavery in Washington County, as elsewhere, devalued the lives of black people, resulting in violence, including assaults and lynchings, for which hundreds of white perpetrators were never held accountable. Oak Cemetery was previously known as Gallows Hill, but then given to the trust of colored people known back then, also mentioned in the deed as of 1924, the Colored Cemetery, 1867. The earliest known in Oak Cemetery is to be buried is Margaret West, 1819 to 1913, Fanny Denton, 1844 to 1917, Henry Moore, 1845 to 1922, Lucille Smith, 1845 to 1912, William Taylor, 1845 to 1912, Anne York, 1845 to 1928, and most likely all were slaves and in unmarked graves. Willis Pettigrew is a verified slave, birth unknown, and he passed in 1913, photographed with 4 other slaves of 1910. He was the last known slave of Fayetteville, and a beautiful marble gravestone set in his tribute. Mr. McPherson was a city patrolman, the only known black peace officer before 1960. He was killed in the line of duty April 1928 while trying to apprehend an apparent moonshiner. He was only recently been brought to one public's attention by the Fayetteville Police Department, now listed as an officer killed in the line of duty on the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and new gravestone placed for him. He is honored in front of the Fayetteville Police Department building. James Hoover worked for the Fayetteville City Hospital for 35 years. He stood 6 foot 6 inches tall, lanky, a gentle, helpful soul. A veteran of World War I, he was the longest serving employee of the hospital, and after his death, the hospital put up a plaque in his honor. George Poole Ballard was a well-regarded poet during the 1920s and 30s. His book of poetry, cleverly titled Ozark Ballads, his most famous, a poem of 1924, titled Woodrow Wilson, a tribute on the death of the president. The poem published locally and nationally. He is unfortunately buried in an unmarked grave. Sam Young, 1828 to 1931, a former slave who resided in Arkansas for over 74 years. He recalled the highest price he was bought for was $1,600. His last owner, Mr. Billy Moore of Pans, Texas, who he followed to Fayetteville. Sam married former slave Martha. They lived for over 100 years. Mr. Young built a home on Mountain Street that was destroyed by a tornado in 1880. He has an unmarked grave, but his son Sam Young Jr. does have a gravestone. Otis Parker, 1890 to 1976. Mr. Parker was a well-known horseman, a self-taught veterinarian, and rodeo trick rider in the 1930s. He was highly respected and featured in a Northwest Arkansas Times article on October 6, 1971. I will definitely return a visit to Oak Cemetery. I lost a portion of beautiful footage. Love and light to all these heroes and beautiful souls. Thank you for watching. Bountiful blessings to you all.